Hello and welcome to Election Central for the probably the final election meeting of the 2020 election year.
We'll probably meet in December.
Yeah, we may meet in December to do some cleanup, but today the most important thing on our agenda is dealing with the resolution of provisional ballots. Provisional ballots are issued to a voter who has a problem at the polls. It may be because they don't have an ID or their ID is not correct, or a number of other things that are in the Indiana Election Code 2020 edition. So rather than deny a person the right to vote, they're allowed to file a provisional ballot, and we resolved those provisions here according to the state law. I am joined by my colleagues, Nicole Brown and Carolyn Vanderweel. So let's get started.
Okay, and so we do not refer to voters by name. We refer to them by number. And would you like me, for the record, to talk about the technological issue that we may face, or would you rather we wait until we come to that issue?
Please feel free to talk about whatever you feel is cogent.
All right. Without naming companies' names or anything like that, I was made aware of a technological issue that occurred on election day, likely due to 92 counties having elections and using the same resources at the same time, which resulted in voters going to the correct polling place, but being told that they were at the wrong polling place, and then being issued a provisional ballot, when in fact they were at the correct polling site and should have been given a regular ballot. I would hope as a board we could agree that in those instances that was no fault of the voter. It was a technological issue that could not have been helped in any way by our people, and that we would accept those provisional ballots. Thank you.
Okay, question. Do we understand the nature of the technical problem that occurred so that we can prevent it from happening in the future?
That is an excellent question. I have spoken with our vendor and asked for insight. And I have also spoken with our local IT vendor and asked for his perspective. Again, I am not trying to out any vendor, company, or system. It was 92 counties all trying to access information that resulted in a glitch that I certainly hope over the next year, since we have no elections, that they will clear up.
Okay, so the glitch is at the state level.
The glitch is not at our level.
Not at our level.
It's above our level.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
All right. So voter number one.
Before we start, let me just say one more thing. Because of the way we're set up today in Election Central, I'm going to be unable to monitor comments or questions online. I will hope and rely that Michelle Dayton, who is our technical consultant at the county, if she will resolve whatever issues she can in my absence. Thank you.
Yes,
Okay.
just every once in a while.
Unionville Elementary.
Never mind.
You want to scooch in a little?
Scooch in. I don't need to be on camera, but looks like we have one issue at Unionville Elementary. Haven't done this since the primary.
Right.
And indeed, I find one provisional ballot.
And am I correct in assuming that all of these people were notified in advance of anything they needed to do before today
They would
in
have
order
been
for their vote to
notified
be.
at the polling site.
Part of the paperwork is every provisional voter has received given instructions from the Monroe County Election Board with detailed information from the state.
Right.
On how to manage their next steps.
It would appear that voter number 1 is registered in Marion County.
Yeah, driver's license has an Indianapolis address. And the voter never applied for registration in Monroe County
Or didn't do so in time.
or didn't do so in time. Yeah. So it's my understanding, in accordance with state law, a voter must vote in the county of their registration
Correct. And
And-
precinct for that matter.
and precinct too. So this vote,
I will make the motion that given that this voter is not registered in Monroe County, that we reject the provisional ballot.
And I will second that motion.
and I will concur. So it's unanimous.
Try to read these so that. The next voter, Tri-North, 1 provisional ballot. Indeed, there is 1 provisional ballot. And my understanding is that this voter is not listed on the poll list at all, not registered.
Not registered.
In the state.
And the person did not make any attempt to contact us with any corrections to that information, correct? Okay.
Given that this voter is not registered in the state of Indiana, I will make the motion that we reject this provisional ballot.
I will second the motion.
And I concur. So it is unanimous.
We are moving on to the Unitarian Universalist Church, where we have 5 provisional ballots.
Okay.
I do locate 5 provisional ballots. Voter number 3 does not appear to be registered, a registered voter. I will make a motion that because that voter is not registered, that we accept or we reject that ballot.
I will second.
I concur. So it's unanimous.
Keep these here until we're done.
Voter number 4 is registered in St. Joseph County.
Okay, now voter number 4 says that he registered 3 times online on 9/29, twice in St. Joseph County and once in Monroe County, with the last submission being made in Monroe County. But because St. Joseph processed slower, she ended up being registered in St. Joseph County. We have documentation thereof. The other issue here is that the voter did not sign the provisional ballot envelope, which means she didn't sign her affidavit, and that probably trumps everything else.
I will make a motion that we reject the ballot for voter number 4,
on the basis that it is not signed
and they are not registered to vote.
and they're not registered to vote in this county.
I'm wondering if we might make a courtesy notice to this voter, although she should understand that if she wants to register in Monroe County, she needs to probably do that again, given that St. Joseph was the last to process and therefore is her current state registration. So we might make a note to just maybe send her a courtesy notice. I don't know if we have. Send her a letter to that effect,
Okay,
just so that she understands where she's registered and can figure out what she wants to do between now and 2022.
so
Are we moving on to voter number
moving on
5?
to
Yep.
voter
Voter number 5,
number 5.
presented themselves at precinct Bloomington 17, is registered at Bloomington 17, but did not present voter ID. And I do not see anything to indicate that they brought the ID in.
That's a shame.
And they would have had the 10 days to bring in the voter ID.
And do we know how the person was contacted?
They're all notified
Yes.
at the polling
Okay.
site.
All
They
right.
receive a
All right, Just-
sheet that explains what they
Yep.
have to do in order to resolve their situation.
Yep.
So they're not contacted after the election. They're
Okay.
actually told exactly what to do when they vote provisionally. And given that he did not present his ID, I will make the motion that we reject this provisional ballot.
I will second that motion.
and I concur. So it is unanimous.
Voter number 6, registered at precinct B17, presented themselves at precinct B17 with an absentee ballot previously issued, and they voted provisionally saying they did not receive their absentee ballot. So they did not bring it to surrender.
And it was not received by us.
So in this instance, I don't want to be on camera.
That's what I'm going to see you too, sorry.
I'll waive, but that's it. Okay. Based on that information, I would recommend that we accept this ballot, and I will make a motion to accept this
And I
ballot.
will second that motion and concur.
And I concur. So it is unanimous. The vote is accepted.
Yay, I like it when we can accept them. Voter number 7, not registered. And in the interest of time, would it be possible to consider if they are not registered that we separate those out and agree in a
Yeah, I
motion?
think maybe
Sure.
we do that by, especially with the next one, that we do that by precinct.
Okay.
This work looks whatever, so I'll make the motion that because this person is not registered, that we reject that ballot.
I will second that motion.
I concur.
Okay, these are the non-accepteds.
Not accepted.
Okay.
And this is the accepted.
Thank you. Okay,
That's
coming up on the big one here.
Yeah, and this is given, these are all basically not registered in the county. So let's just
Down to number 25.
down from 8 to 29.
So are you making a
So
collective motion?
We'll need to check each ballot, but, because we have to look at the paperwork. But I will suggest that we wait on the vote until the end and do them as a bulk.
How many does that make?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
21?
22, 21.
22.
All right. Voter number 8, not registered. I will make the motion.
We're not,
Oh,
We're
sorry.
gonna
we're
do a
gonna do it
group
as-
Group
motion on
motion,
this.
excuse me. Voter number 9, registered in Bartholomew County. Voter number 10, registered in Madison County. I'm gonna bond with you a little bit, Hal.
Okay.
Okay, that's it. That's as far as I'm going. All right.
You're talking a lot and people want to see who's talking.
yeah.
Hello. All right, voter number 11, registered in Allen County. Voter number 12, registered in St. Joseph County.
So this is the only one, this was a voter who was currently registered here and then after, or made an application to St. Joseph County after the online application to Monroe County. So still ended up being registered in the wrong county.
Voter number 13, registered in Allen County. Voter number 14 is registered in St. Joseph County. Voter number 15 is not registered. Voter number 16 is registered in Porter County. Voter number 17 is registered in Lake County. Voter number 18 is registered in Lake County. Voter number 19 is registered in Marion County. Voter number 20 is registered in Porter County. Voter number 21 is registered in Marion County. Voter number 22 is registered in Porter County. Voter number 23 is registered in Porter County. Voter number 24 is not registered. I'm stopping at
29.
29, okay. Voter number 25 is registered in a different precinct than the one at which he presented.
So we might vote on this one separately simply because it's slightly different.
Okay. Voter number 26,
Actually, hang on.
oh, sorry.
So given that this voter is registered in a different precinct than the precinct in which he provisionally voted, and given that we cannot accept a vote that is in a different precinct, I will make the motion that this is the 25 that we reject. Ballot number 25.
I will second the motion.
I concur.
And this is the corresponding for the gentleman registered in the separate, in a different precinct. And so we had a unanimous vote.
Yes.
It was
All right.
unanimous. Yes.
Okay, and we're going on to voter 26.
Yes.
Unfortunately, this voter came to this precinct and did not have time to get to the next. So
Voter number 26 is not registered. Voter number 27 is not registered. Voter number 28 is registered in Marion County. Voter number 29 is registered in Lake County. And I'm going to pass along the proof from SVRS that they either were not registered at all or registered in another county.
unfortunately, this one voter did try to vote by mail from the state that he was registered in, never received a ballot, which is why he came here and voted provisionally, but unfortunately, it still doesn't work.
So would you like a group motion?
So we are going to make a motion that we reject because they are not registered or not registered in this county.
He's 21.
Voters 8 through 24 and voters 26 through 29. I recommend that we reject those ballots.
I second.
I concur. It is unanimous.
Cool. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. Moving on to Benford Elementary. Looks like we have 5.
Yes.
Deal is intact. Sorry. And I do find 5 provisional ballots.
And again, the reasons are all the same, so let's wait to vote till the end.
Mhm.
Okay. Voter number 30 is registered in Lake County. Voter number 31 is registered in Madison County. Voter number 32 presented at the polling site for Perry 20, but was actually registered in Bloomington 21. Voter number 33 is registered in DeKalb County. Where is that? And then voter number 34 is not registered. And I am passing the verification of the checks for these voters.
Okay.
The corresponding.
Just want to lick your fingers. All right,
So we have the one, number 32, who's registered in the correct county, but went
wrong
to the wrong
precinct.
polling
So
place.
given that these voters were either not registered in Monroe County or were registered in a different precinct in which they vote than the one in which they voted, I will again make the motion that we reject these ballots.
I will second that motion.
I concur. It is unanimous.
Moving on to University Elementary, where we had 4 provisional ballots.
Correct.
The seal was intact. And I do find 4 provisional ballots. Voter number 35 presented at V9, but is actually registered in Bloomington 13. Voter number 36 presented at Bloomington 11, but is actually registered at Bloomington 21. Voter number 37, it's not clear where he presented, but he was actually registered to vote in Perry 32.
So the poll worker neglected to put down the polls that issued this.
Or he didn't know which one he was supposed to go, if it
Yeah.
had more than one precinct.
Okay.
And then voter number 38, same thing, not clear which person she presented to, but she was registered to vote in Van Buren 2.
Mhm.
This is the corresponding paperwork. These also appear to have the same issues, and I am happy to make a group motion a single motion to reject each of these 4 ballots.
I second.
And I think that
It is unanimous.
Okay, for Family Worship Center, we have just one provisional ballot. The seal appears to be intact. One provisional ballot. And it appears that this person presented to the Family Worship Center, but actually is registered in Hendricks County. Barring something that I am missing, I would be happy to recommend the motion to reject this ballot.
I will second.
I concur.
Thank you. Moving on to the Smithville Christian Church. The seal is intact. We have 3 people who voted provisionally. And I do find 3 provisional ballots. Voter number 40, presented at Clear Creek 2, but is actually registered to vote in Perry 24. Voter number 41, presented at CC2, Clear Creek 2, but is registered in Bean Blossom 2. And the name on voter number 42 does not match the name. Oh,
No voter ID.
there you go. That's the problem. Okay, no voter ID. Thank you.
No indication that the ID was presented to us after, or in the amount of time that they were allowed.
Correct. But I'm gonna
So-
ask you to look at the fact that the name on that does not match the name on number 42. I don't know if they go by a different name.
It's not even close. Well, this is okay. This does not correspond with this one.
So,
Oh,
is that the name of the inspector
yes,
by mistake?
yes.
So it is for the right voter,
Yes,
but the
'cause it
affidavit
says
was filled out.
they obtained the information from this voter, but put his name on top, or possibly it's hard to tell from the handwriting, but I think that it was actually done by the inspector put there, or that whoever it was that challenged it, because he put his name up top instead of the voters. But he did say that he obtained the information from this
From that
voter,
voter.
and hence why it matches with this.
Okay. So I want to give a shout out to that inspector. Thank you so much for your hard work on that, but I got a little confused. And here's the corresponding paperwork
Okay,
for those.
Thank you.
And the ID was not brought in, correct?
Correct.
So in the case of voters number 40 and 41, they were registered voted in the wrong precinct. Now, one question that I have is, was 40, the one that moved, was she entitled to vote in her, and I don't have the cheat sheet in front of me. Would she have been entitled to vote one more time in her previous precinct, and was this her previous precinct?
She was at Smithville to vote, which is Clear Creek 2. So it appears that number 40 and 41 were at the wrong precinct.
Correct, but would she be entitled to vote one more time at her old precinct if that was her correct address?
You vote where you're registered.
Exactly, but she didn't change her registration and preferred to vote
So
here.
she could have gone to where she was registered.
Well, but the question is it says she moved and did not change registration and prefers to vote here. The question is here her old registration or
She is registered at Clear Creek 2. You're talking about number 42, Carolyn. We don't know which one you're talking about.
yeah, 42, the first one.
No,
Or
42 is the third one.
Right.
sorry, 40. Number 40 was registered to vote.
and I think the semantics in that would be the
Yes,
term.
she's in the wrong place anyway. She's not
She
where she
preferred.
voted
Yep.
for the old address either.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
She could have gone to where she was registered and voted, but
Right, but she didn't.
she did not.
Okay,
It is the one. Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, it was confusing as to what that would do. All right, given that none of these voters were registered, well, let's see, voter number 40 and 41 were not registered in the precinct in which they voted. And number 42 did not present valid voter ID and did not mitigate that by bringing in voter ID to us before the deadline. I will make the motion that these 3 ballots be rejected.
I second.
I concur.
Thank you.
Next one is for Harrodsburg Community Center. And they had 1 provisional ballot. The seal appears to be intact. I do find 1 provisional ballot. And it appears that voter number 43 is presented herself at Clear Creek 3, but is registered in Richland 4. There's the paper.
We should have voted at St. John's.
Okay.
And that's the corresponding paperwork.
Yep.
Okay, sorry, were you handing it
No,
back?
that's all right. No,
So she needs to change her address.
she needs to change her address. So I move that this ballot be rejected.
I will second.
I will concur. And that's regrettable when this happens, especially as hard as we work to encourage people to check their voter registration information and make any corrections prior to that October 5th date. Next one is Indian Creek Lions Club, where we had 1 provisional ballot. The seal does appear to be intact. And I do find 1 provisional ballot. It indicates that this person presented at Indian Creek, but was actually registered to vote in Perry 24. With the corresponding paperwork. And I will make a motion to reject this ballot.
I second.
Concur. Okay, Summit should have 14. Summit Elementary,
Mhm.
got quite a few.
Okay. So how many? 1, 2, 3, 4.
14.
14. Thank you. Math always took me a little longer. The seal is intact. Okay, there are 14 provisional ballots. Number 45, voter number 45 appears to be registered in Marion County. Voter number 46 appears to be registered in Lake County. Voter number 47 does not appear to be registered anywhere in the state of Indiana. Voter number 48 is not registered. Voter 49 is not registered. Voter number 50 is registered in Lake County. Voter number 51 is registered in Lawrence County. Bless you all. Voter number 52 presented at Perry 5, but appears to be registered in Monroe County's Bloomington 21 precinct. Voter number 53 is registered, presented at Perry 5, but is registered under a different name in Van Buren 4. And it would appear that there is a voter registration for that one with the different name.
But still in the wrong precinct.
Still in the wrong precinct. Voter number 54 is not registered.
It's not, this says they presented at the wrong precinct.
We're talking about 54.
We're talking about CP.
Okay, voter number 54, and it indicates that they are not.
SVRS says they're not registered. They may have ticked the wrong button.
Well, it's the poll. It says this voter's name is included on the poll list, but the voter does not currently reside in the precinct.
But it's- Yeah,
Yeah,
I find nothing in here in the
that would be on
corresponding.
one. Do we have the SVRS?
I have
for that?
nothing in the corresponding paperwork for that voter.
Okay, Karen's taking a look at it.
Yeah.
Shall we move on while we wait? for
Yeah,
Karen?
54 is open.
Voter number 55, presented at Perry 5, but is registered at Bloomington 2. Voter number 56 is registered in Hendricks County. Voter number 57, presented at Perry 5, but is registered in Bloomington 18. And voter number 58 is registered in Lake County.
I think we can do a group vote excluding number 54 while that's being researched.
I think that's fair.
Is that agreeable?
It's
Okay.
agreeable.
I move that these ballots be rejected for non-compliance with Indiana state election law.
One second.
I concur.
They're waiting on,
Do you have a birthday, a year, birth year?
I don't think we have any paperwork on it at all. Let's see if it's here.
54.
Be on the green.
Yeah.
Or the-
CP.
Um, we keep the ballot in place.
All right, we can,
Are we moving forward?
we're gonna,
I think we'll just hold on to that for a second.
Yeah.
That's the city is registered in Vigo.
In Vigo County. All right.
okay,
And I think we can also include now, make the motion that we include number 54 as well.
I will second that motion,
I concur.
and that ballot too is rejected.
Yes. So are we going to run out of ballots, or are we going to run out of hand sanitizer before?
Oh, I think that we got probably,
Well,
Okay, we're well stocked.
Are we moving on to Bloomington High School South?
We
that
are.
would be correct.
Where we appear to have 4 provisional ballots.
That would be correct.
The seal is intact. And I do find 4 provisional ballots. Number 59, presented at Perry 9, but does not appear to be registered. I believe number 60 is another one where an overzealous inspector signed in lieu of the actual voter, but that voter would have,
Yeah, actually didn't sign, he just put
Put his
their
name.
name at the top.
he didn't know any better. Presented at Perry 12, but is actually registered in Van Buren 3. Hmm. So if I understand 61 correctly, they presented at Perry 32, but were canceled, their registration was canceled from Perry 32. Is it possible that they canceled it when they just meant to update it?
Can't tell.
It's possible that that's what happened, but unfortunately it doesn't
Doesn't
solve the
change.
problem that it was canceled.
Yeah, doesn't change. It was canceled in 2007.
Oh, that's quite a long time. And
It's,
so I look up my registration often, but for the education of the voters, are the buttons near each other? You cancel or you update?
I don't remember.
if they have the same address, we could have done a certificate of error. I need their birthday.
yeah, but it was in that status for 13 years. And the person
This
Apparently
is-
hasn't voted since the cancellation until this point.
If they hadn't moved,
This is
it doesn't matter, if they're not
61.
voted,
Okay,
and it doesn't matter, but they've had to not move, had they moved.
okay. And we don't know that.
So are we in a position to have a certificate?
Let me
She's
see.
gonna
Okay.
Okay,
double check.
Shall I move on to 62 while we wait
Yes.
for
Yes.
that?
yes.
Voter number 62 appears to be registered in Lawrence County. Our neighbors to the south.
Interesting issues. More than that, person didn't register, wasn't shown as registered in the poll book, but provided proof of residency on paper.
And that could have been, again, the delay in the SVRS, but,
This is the correspondence.
Okay.
While we wait, how many people do you think are watching us?
I don't know. 2.
At least 2.
Let's see.
I know
Dave,
a few.
Dave and one others. And one other.
Well, to our viewing audience, while we wait, thank you for your patience. Thank you for being a part of today's reconciliation of provisional ballots. And I think we had a great election. How do you feel?
I thought the election was very smooth. I thought it was astounding that Election Central was able to process one voter every 45 seconds. That more than 1,000 a day. And while we still had lines, I don't think anyone could have logically predicted the amount of early voting that we had.
No, Monroe County mirrored many communities across the state, the United States, where there were longer than voting lines, but I am very proud to report that according to the records that I see, we had the second largest voter turnout for a presidential general since November of 2008, which would have been when Barack Obama
Mhm.
was on the ballot. So the second highest total. I think great job, Monroe County voters, and thank you for turning out.
And great job to the team from Election Central,
Absolutely.
your team.
You know,
Did a
I'm
phenomenal
pretty
job.
biased. I'm pretty biased. They're amazing.
And they were well trained by Sherry Morris. And we really appreciate the effort that everyone put in, the long, long hours.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Have you got any sleep?
I slept 12 hours the next night.
I was.
I haven't done that since college.
Right. We have an update.
It appears that they are still at the current address and it was canceled, but the law says if they haven't moved, and even if the voter requests a cancellation, which I did not see,
That if they
Still can
came to
reinstate
vote,
them.
we could reinstate them. So,
so I think we need a certificate of error and that the vote should count.
all right.
I would be happy to
So-
make a motion that we count that ballot, given that there is no proof that this voter canceled. As I understand you, there's no proof that this was an actual official request for cancellation and they still reside at that address and showed up to vote, clearly demonstrating voter intent.
Correct.
And even if they did request it, we still honor the certificate of error, which is amazing.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
amazing to me.
so
All
I
right, so
move we
this
accept.
is voter 61.
No.
This is,
Oh, yes.
yes,
yes,
61.
yes, 61.
So we're
please.
moving to accept the ballot of
Yep.
voter 61.
Yep.
And then I will make the motion that voters 59, 61, 59, 60, and 62 who were not registered to vote in the county or were registered to vote in the wrong precinct and therefore are not entitled to vote in the precinct they did, that we deny those ballots.
Second.
Concur.
All right, let's make sure
So,
we got this correct.
59 and 60 are denied. 61 is approved. 62 is denied.
Yes.
So let's make sure we get the right ones. So that's 59 and 60. And 59. 62. So these are denied.
Okay, these are denied.
And that can go with that.
There's,
We still get the, have the green sheet for,
Karen
I
May,
think it's on. the
yeah, I think
table.
it's on the table, right?
yes.
All right, this one we will count.
Right. Okay, definitely hand sanitizer.
Okay. As I see it, we are moving on to the Eastview Church, is that correct?
Correct.
Eastview Church, where we appear to have 3 provisional ballots. The seal is intact. And I do find 3 provisional ballots. Moving on to voter number 63. This voter appears to be registered in Elkhart County. Moving on to voter 64. This voter appears to be registered in Shelby County. This is the corresponding documentation. And voter number 65 appears to not be registered. Barring an oversight, I will make a motion that we reject each of these 3 ballots as the voters were not registered to vote in Monroe County on election day.
Let it be noted, this person registered on the day of the election.
We do not have, for the viewing public, we do not have same day voter registration.
I will make the comment that for some of these folks who moved or whatever, we would have filled out the appropriate forms so that when voter registration reopens, corrections will be made. But yes, we cannot accept the same day registration here.
Call your legislators.
So I move we reject all 3.
I second.
Concur.
I thought I made that motion.
You did.
Did you?
But that's okay. It got,
Sorry.
it's done. That's
That's all
what
right.
counts.
Give Hal a second.
So they're doubly, Reject.
We're moving to Southside Christian Church. One. It may just be that I have not seen this ever or haven't seen it in a long time, but I note the word disfranchised. And I don't know if this is similar to the situation that we had with voter number 61.
We can check.
Yeah,
Okay.
it might be a different situation where they were not entitled to vote for a period of time and then could have re-registered but did not.
We'll check.
So we'll check on that one. Why don't we move on to Free Methodist while we're dealing with that?
Okay.
You have the paperwork, I'll share it.
Yeah.
The paperwork.
okay, thank you.
So I'm in 60.
This is 66. I just don't remember seeing that. I don't know about either of you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing that there might be a reason why this voter was disenfranchised and then, you know, maybe that situation has now changed, but
Could be a change of citizenship
would have
or
had-
or incarceration or,
yeah, there
Number
could
of
be a
things.
number of things. But it's possible that they did not re-register to vote as they would
Check
have.
it out before
So we'll
we
check on that.
share it.
So
All right, let's move on to Free
wait,
Meth.
we're moving on to Free Methodist where we have 5 provisional ballots. The seal is intact.
notice some of the seals are blue and some are red.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
What's the name?
Bipartisan, hell,
Yeah.
bipartisan.
Okay,
Okay, I do find 5 provisional ballots. And so voter number 67 indicates that that voter is not registered. Voter number 68, presented at Perry 8. It says that they were registered in St. Joseph County, but they brought in the voter registration acknowledgement for Monroe County's Perry 8, showing that it was processed on 10/6. That certainly would be possible, given that voter registration ended
Ended on
on
the 4th.
10/5.
Or, yeah, so they attempted to register after registration closed. They will be registered in the next election in that precinct. But
missed it by one
it
day.
was processed after the,
Okay, but if it, so let's say it was received at 11:59 on 10/5, it wouldn't be processed till the next day when we open, but it would still count.
Okay, good.
yeah, so we need to check when it was actually received.
Miss Karen,
Karen, can you check number 68 for when that person was registered in Monroe County, please?
Yeah, it would have been, you know, we would have done the paperwork. It might have been a day or two later, possibly, right? So we'll check on that. Okay, so
Let's
let's
do that like this. Yes.
move on to 69.
So we're moving on to 69 while we wait. This goes with that. I apologize.
Okay,
Okay.
we have paperwork if you want.
And the information indicates that it is possibly an error of St. Joseph's County,
Yeah.
in which case.
Put her,
Okay, so while we wait, voter number 69, presented at Perry 8, but is registered in Bloomington 2. Voter number 70, they presented to Perry 31 and are registered in Perry 31, but appear to have been given a provisional ballot because SVRS showed no additional identity or residence documents required.
That's really unusual.
would this be that situation?
That
we
is
discussed
what
at the
I am
beginning?
wondering if that is a
A glitch?
result of the technological glitch,
Hmm.
in which case, barring something I'm not seeing, I would make a motion that we accept this ballot.
Yeah. If we had a series of these, a large number, then I would probably say it requires further investigation, but I concur with you that it looks like this is beyond the control of the voter, and the voter should
Yeah.
not be punished for that.
It looks like they were registered and there are voters, first-time registries, registrants sometimes that are required to bring in additional documentation. This says that's not necessary, so I concur that this voter should be entitled to vote.
So it is unanimous.
It is unanimous that we will accept the ballot of voter number 70.
Yes.
And voter number 71 does not appear to be registered. And I want to apologize. This is the documentation for the voter. We just accepted
Right.
that ballot.
Okay. This one?
And then now, voter number 71.
Okay, number 68. So
Okay. This again doesn't agree. This says the person is on the poll list, but is not entitled to vote in that precinct. But the list indicates that the person is not registered.
And there's no, I have no more documentation, so
bring it up number 68.
no,
No, this
71.
is 71 now.
I'm
So
guessing that it's just the wrong box. It should be 1 instead of 2.
Yep.
I will
We
make-
have no SVRS information on them,
Correct.
therefore they're not
But
registered.
the result would be the same.
Correct.
so while we wait for 68,
All right, so let's say, so we were good for 70
70.
is done.
We're-
Let's
Yeah,
get
we're
that back.
we're
That
good
one
for
is
70.
taken.
70
we
is
accepted
the
70.
vote is counted.
Let's make the motion that 67, 69, and 71 are not registered in Monroe County. Or registered the wrong precinct, and therefore we cannot count those votes.
I will make a second.
I concur.
We do have resolution of the outside single provisional if you want. As the inspector wrote, the registration was after the deadline.
Okay.
Okay.
Given that it occurred after the deadline, I will make a motion that we reject the provisional ballot for voter
Second.
number 66.
Second.
I will concur. So that's this one. No, that's this one.
Voter number 66.
Yeah. And we need the green sheet before we.
I have the green sheet.
The other green. Okay. you can- That one does not count. And then we have
56.
67. 71 is also.
So these are the ones that were not from Free Methodist, right? I have the one that was accepted. And these are the ones that were not.
So we're still waiting on 68, is that correct?
I think he has the answer.
Maybe.
Right.
On the paper, it says that it was registered in error to voter mailing address. But when I look at the document, which county is it? St. Joseph. It has the right mailing address to St. Joseph. I mean, mailing address and registration is the same. And they got them last, and now they have them as voter. After the deadline or before? The date is after, but they probably received it before, which we did ours after also. I can't tell when they received it.
We can only tell when they processed it, is that?
Yeah.
And we do that also.
Right.
Meaning that our deadline was, but
They had an acknowledgement card from.
From
Monroe
us.
County.
so we registered them, and then they, some other St. Joe's got another registration. And then they processed that, but they're at St. Joe's. If anyone else wants to look at this, I'm sure we'll let you look at this.
Well, I suspect they went back to check or something and managed to sort of go backwards.
And they've been back and forth, probably, I don't know who it is, but they've been here and there, here and there. It's,
So it sounds like something where this voter really needs to confirm their registration as we would instruct any voter to do prior to an election
Mhm.
to make sure that you know your correct voting location.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm guessing they tried to make an attempt to vote, to register to vote here, but at some point managed to redo it in St. Joe. So,
We've had more than one case where St. Joe processed slower than Monroe County.
but that doesn't solve the issue of,
So they did do the document, the application on the 1st of October, so that was before the deadline. St. Joe's dealt with it later. Let me look at one that we have.
Okay,
yeah,
so we're going to
'cause it
look
looks like
for,
all of the St. Joe stuff was done
Yeah.
after we did it, but also after the deadline.
yeah, so we're gonna look for
So
our
we'll see what ours
record
did.
to see.
While we're waiting
What
on
date
that,
that
let's continue
Yep.
to work through the next round.
Are we done with Free Methodist?
Yes, with the exception of 68. So that's the one that we're working on resolving now.
Okay. Do you want to move on to the next?
Yeah, let's move on. to the next.
That should be the Academy.
Yes,
There are we 2 provisional ballots. The seal is intact. I do find 2 provisional ballots. This should be easy peasy. Voters 72 and 73 are not registered. I have no documentation to disprove. And barring unforeseen issues, I will just make a motion that we reject both of these ballots because there is no proof of registration.
second,
And the paperwork looks good, so I will concur. Turn this to Nicole.
We are moving on to Faith Lutheran.
Yes, also 2 votes, 2 ballots.
Two ballots. The seal is intact. I do find 2 provisional ballots. Voter number 74 presented at Perry 14, but is registered in Perry 20. So close. That one goes with that. And then voter 75, presented at Perry 14, but is registered in Porter County.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. All right, so I'll make a motion that voters 74 and 75 either not registered in Monroe County or were registered at the wrong precinct within Monroe County, and that we must reject those ballots.
I will second that motion.
I concur. Oh. Yep.
And we're still waiting for,
68, so.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Jackson Creek.
Jackson Creek, where we should find 6 provisional ballots.
Yes.
Yes.
Seal is intact. I do find 6. Voter number 76 presented at the right polling site, but with no identification. And I see nothing to indicate that identification was brought in. Voter number 77, same issue, presented at the right polling site, but with no identification, and there is no proof to indicate that that was resolved.
Okay, this one indicates wrong form of ID,
Which means it wasn't a valid ID, and they
Wasn't-
didn't
yeah.
bring in a valid ID, so.
Yep. Valid ID being driver's license,
The government issued
State.
Passport, student ID from the state school,
State
veterans
school.
card.
yep,
military card.
yep,
Voter number 78, presented at Perry 11, but with canceled registration from Van Buren 4 for a different address.
So we cannot do the same thing we did with the last one.
Right, because it is a different address.
Correct.
Voter number 79, presented at Perry 11, but was not registered.
She is registered for the next election.
We look forward to taking care of your ballot. So I am going to presume that voter number 80 is one of the technological issues to which I referred, in as much as
Yes.
they are they presented at Perry 23 and they are registered in Perry 23 with SVRS documentation of such. And barring your eyes seeing something mine don't see, I will go ahead and make the motion that we accept the ballot for voter number 80.
I concur. I second the motion.
Voter number 81. Oh, I'm sorry, got a motion.
Yeah, we have a motion.
I will concur.
Okay.
Unanimous. Voter number 81, presented at Perry 28, is registered in Perry 28, but presented with no voter ID. And I do not see anything to indicate that ID was brought in within the appropriate amount of time.
And for the listeners, a copy of an ID is not satisfactory in the state of Indiana
On the day you vote.
on the day you vote.
But if they had come with that ID, we would have made a copy of it for the edification of the election board.
I would say there's one caveat to that. If you lost your driver's license and they issued you a copy of your driver's license with the official seal, we probably could have used that.
Mhm.
But just a copy doesn't work.
This one is okay.
So that one we accept, and
That
I will
one
make
is
the
number
motion
80.
that we reject 76, 77, and 81 because of invalid voter ID that was not brought in to resolve that issue. And then in the case of 78, because they are in the wrong precinct,
And 79 because they're not registered at all.
and 79 because they're not registered, yes. That
Okay.
covers everybody. All right.
I second.
I
Good with
I
that?
concur.
All right. That's the rest of those.
Thank you.
Okay. We have an update?
Yes. Oh, so number 68.
Okay.
Yep.
Update on 68. All right. I'm going to repeat what you say for the benefit of anyone who's listening.
Okay. So this person registered October 1st.
Registered October 1st, where? Here in Monroe County?
It actually said St. Joseph,
Okay.
but they didn't process it till the 12th.
Okay. They registered in St. Joseph's on the October 1st, but it was processed by St. Joseph's on October 12th.
And they the voter apparently made a mistake on the registration, which we can't discern, we just accept. And they put down, well, they had South Bend as both the mailing and the registration address. The next
Okay,
day-
South Bend is their mailing and their registration address according to the computer.
Right.
Okay.
And then the next day, that person re-registered.
The next day being
The second,
this
On October 2nd,
October 2nd, the person re-registered
requesting Monroe,
in Monroe.
all the same information excepting instead of South Bend as the city, they put Bloomington.
So they re-registered on the 2nd with a Bloomington legal address. But that, okay. And then on the 12th, the St. Joseph one was processed. So it's another out of sequence.
Right, so they registered once on the first, registered again on the second. The 6th, we process it. Means they got the card. They
Right.
got the card.
And then on the 12th,
the
St. Joe
12th.
processed theirs, but
Yes.
they registered with us on the 2nd, which is before the date that it was due.
Yep.
And so that's actually the valid one.
Well,
Yes,
St. Joseph
agreed.
actually got it before
Yeah.
the due date also,
But the day before ours, right?
October 1st.
yes.
So
Yeah.
they registered with St. Joe on the 1st, then they re-registered with us on the 2nd. So the 2nd is the one that should count.
So,
Yes,
yeah, I
agreed.
think the voter intent is they showed up to
Yes.
a Monroe County polling site. It was their intention to honor their Monroe County registration, or they would have driven to St. Joseph County.
And originally, it was the voter's mistake by filling it out incorrectly on the application. That's where the whole caveat.
So that voter is going to have to spend some time figuring out where they are now. But in terms of this election, I believe they voted in good faith in Monroe County, and they should have been registered in Monroe County. And the St. Joe one got processed late, so that's where SVRS now is, but should not be.
Right.
So I'm going to make a motion that vote should count.
I second.
Okay, and I concur.
All right. That voter is voted.
This is
So,
why you don't wait till the last minute, and you make sure that you're registered where you think you're registered before you come to vote. But,
And pay
And-
attention to what information you put down.
Yeah.
and yeah, that too.
But intent is clear there, I
Ms.
think.
Carolyn, you have that paperwork?
I do. So this one is the one we are accepting.
All right, that puts the Free Methodists
Mhm.
to rest. This will be a good time to get popcorn.
All right, Burgoon.
So proportionately, given the number of registrations in Burgoon, I'd say this is a high number of provisionals.
Burgoon.
About 1.5%.
Am I missing? Okay, I am missing
Page 5.
page 5. I only have 4. So how many should I find?
You should
before-
find 3.
Okay. Thank you. The seal is intact? Thank you very much. I love somebody who makes sure I get the paperwork in time. Number 5, Burgoon is voter number 82, registered in Polk,
Presented to poll.
presented to Polk, absentee ballot issued but not voted.
And did they must have turned it in.
Never received it.
Okay. Affidavit thereof.
Yep.
So this voter is registered in Polk, presented to Polk, received or applied for an absentee by mail ballot, which was not voted, and has signed an affidavit saying that it was never received. In which case, we should be able to accept this vote,
I will make a motion to accept that.
I will second it.
and I will concur.
Vote is accepted.
That can go to the acceptance.
Voter,
This will take-
Excuse me.
voter number 83, presented in Polk County, but appears to be registered in Perry 23 with supporting documentation.
All right, let's make a, because 84, we're gonna recheck on. So
Karen
let's
is
make the
working on
motion
84.
that voter number 83, that we should reject this ballot because it was not voted in the correct precinct.
Agreed, seconded.
Concur.
All right, we can put that in the no.
So voter number 84 is a sticky wicket.
Yes, so,
Let's see, that's a no.
so let's move on.
This
to
one is
St.
a
John's.
yes. This one is a yes.
Another good time to get popcorn or your favorite snack.
All right, shall we move on to St. John's while we're waiting to research that one?
Okay.
So 82 is a yes, 83 is a no, 84 is a further research.
Further research. So we are moving on to St. John's.
Yep.
That's not a lot for St. John's.
Yes, given the number of people that vote at St. John's,
Now I have to say,
they did their research.
monitoring the dashboard on election day, St. John's was hopping. They were voting like it was the last thing they were ever gonna do. They showed up and they showed out. So we should have 4. The seal is intact. And inside I do locate 4 provisional ballots.
That will be correct.
Okay. Voter number 85 does not appear to be registered in Monroe County. Voter number 86, presented at the right place, is registered in Richland 8, but did not present with voter ID, and I see nothing to indicate that ID was provided to us within the 10-day time frame.
Out of state ID. Okay,
Voter number 87 is not registered. And voter number 88, presented at Richland 8, but appears to be registered in Perry 32.
okay. Make it to his correct precinct on voting day.
Hopefully, most voters got that postcard that we sent out, letting you know where your polling site was. Someone actually on election day took a rural transit bus here, which is most unfortunate.
Yes.
Yes, and in this case, it's not a moved precinct either, so. All right, so we have,
Oh, this piece of paperwork.
voter 86 did not present valid voter ID at the polls and did not bring it to us within the time allotted. Voters 85 and 87 were not registered to vote in Monroe County, and number 88 was registered at a different precinct. And therefore, statutorily, we can't accept any of these ballots.
I concur. I second that.
I concur. We have an update.
I do.
Okay, I'm going to repeat what you say for the benefit of the people in the audience.
Maybe I could use more information. If she's canceled, is there more information on there that's saying why she should be canceled?
You're asking us a question?
Is this the, for
Yeah, look at
the,
the green sheet.
so voter number 84, they presented in Polk, the cancel registration was Polk, but the address was similar, not quite, like maybe it was the house next door. The address is similar. I don't want to give out the address on Burgoon Church Road, but there's a similar number on Burgoon Road. Well, one is Burgoon Church Road, the other is East Burgoon Road on the canceled registration.
Okay, so in SBRS, I have similar information, but different. The first address you mentioned is the same. Well, never mind, that's what you mentioned first. But one of them I don't have at all. It's a totally different number. Not that close. Kind of hard to talk without saying too much.
I understand. They appear to be two different roads.
Yes,
They are two different roads, yes.
yes, so I agree. They're
They were-
similar, but different.
So it's canceled with a different address.
And I don't know if they're saying because voter got canceled but did not move.
Is there additional information that the inspector wrote on the paperwork? Is I think what Karen wants to know.
Mhm.
Okay, moved to precinct, but has not updated their address on voter registration yet. So since they moved and were in the same precinct, would we not let them vote at that old address one last time?
So I think that if they were canceled,
Would you be canceled or would you have your address updated? I mean, I know what it says. But they presented at Polk. Their canceled registration was in Polk. Both of
so
those
they
are
moved within the same
addresses.
precinct
Right.
essentially.
Both of those addresses are in.
Different address.
And would you not get to vote at the previous one last time?
Not if you canceled in,
Exactly, not if it was a canceled registration, and this says it was a canceled registration. So it's-
that is correct. You cannot. the vote
Okay,
can't-
so if they had not
Hasn't
canceled,
suddenly
yes,
it would
had
be
had their
okay.
registration been active but at the wrong address, they could have voted at the last address one more time and then updated it on the day of. But because the registration was canceled and they're now at a different address, we can't count that.
Okay,
Okay,
So
So-
making a motion there too.
I second.
concur.
And so the vote is not counted.
It is not counted and that closes out Burgoon.
And then, invalid.
Pardon?
Invalid.
Well, we're good.
So Christian, I believe, is next up.
Number 82 was counted.
Okay. So we are where?
you should
Ellisville
be at-
Christian,
Top of page 6, Ellisville Christian.
and we're in the home stretch here.
All right, 7.
89.
It looks like we've got proof of something somewhere. Okay, the seal is intact. That was a new polling site for us. I hear nothing but wonderful things about the ability to vote there.
Yeah, that was a great suggestion. That was your idea, wasn't it?
No, I
No?
have an amazing county attorney, thank you.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Anyway, it's a great idea.
voter number 89, presented at Richland 1 and appears to be registered in Perry 2. with cooperating SBRS.
Voter had moved.
Voter number 90, presented at Richland 2, registered in Richland 2, had an absentee mail ballot issued but was not voted.
So in this case, voted provisionally because of the absentee ballot, but we should count this ballot. I will make the motion that we do.
I will second that motion.
I concur. It's accepted.
Okay.
That was number 90.
That was number 90, and we accepted it.
Good. Nicole, I have the acceptance pile before.
Accepted.
Confused?
Okay, and then voter 91, I believe, is going to be one of the issues, the technological glitch. No, wait,
No, this was a.
No.
This was a clerk issue.
they presented to Richland 2, but are registered in Richland 5. They are at the correct poll site, but given the wrong ballot. The voter brought their unvoted ballot to Election Central. So would that not be a certificate of error if they were given the wrong ballot?
Were they given the wrong absentee ballot or the wrong ballot when they
says-
showed up to vote?
Voter at the correct polling site,
Yes.
but given the wrong ballot.
Right.
And so the documentation is here.
Let's look at the paperwork before we.
Yeah.
comment.
It's a little convoluted.
It is a little convoluted. Which of course makes it here for the voter.
The voter lives in the precinct per state ID, not in current precinct per the system.
So if we're talking about the system, then that's where I go back
System is
to.
what counts, not the IDs. So if they're not,
Unless it was that glitch.
no, because it says,
Doesn't look like the glitch.
it doesn't look like a glitch. It looks like they're not registered in, they're not registered in the precinct because the ID doesn't have to have the same address. It's where they are in the system that they're supposed to be voting. Can we double check this one, Karen?
See that?
All right, do we want to go to the next one while we,
Yeah, we can do that.
okay. Voter number 92, either votes in Richland 2 or Richland, she presented in either Richland 2 or Richland 5, but is actually registered in Perry 23 with supporting documentation. Voter number 93 presented at Richland 2, but is registered in Bloomington 14.
That's number 94.
Voter number 94, presented at Richland 5, is registered in Richland 5 and had an absentee mail ballot that was issued but not voted. I will go ahead and make the motion that we accept the provisional ballot for voter number 94.
Second that.
I will concur. Okay. So voter 94 was accepted,
Yes,
and voter 95 does not appear to be.
Let's put that right.
that's a yes.
This is the yes.
That's a yes.
I have my yes pile. Voter number 95, presented at Richland 6, but is not registered.
So I move voters 89, 92, 93, and 95
Are
The-
not registered to vote in Monroe County.
are not registered, and so ballots are denied.
I will second your motion.
I will concur. Put this in no file.
Okay.
So are we,
91 and 94.
We're counting 90 and 94. 91, we were, look at.
That's,
The reason the inspector gave on the green sheet is the same, is that they live in the precinct for state ID, but not registered in the current precinct per system, which makes me feel like they're registered in a different precinct. Do we know?
91 is registered in Richland 5.
Okay, then I don't know why they wrote this particular issue.
they returned an unvoted.
They did return the unvoted
ABS,
absentee. If they're registered in 5 and
Give them the wrong ballot.
questions, so did they give them I still don't understand how they can say that he was given the wrong ballot if they voted provisionally. And there's no comments on this about that
What
issue.
does the green sheet say?
The green sheet simply says voter lives in precinct for state ID, not in current precinct per system.
So that's
So then I'm guessing that,
that's what I said.
yeah, that they, I don't know what they're given the wrong ballot according to the paperwork was, unless it was the absentee by mail ballot, which was wrong. But if they were registered in 5,
So if I can update the viewing audience about the glitch, some people may have tuned in later. On election day, there was a technological glitch in which there were voters who showed up at the right precinct, but were told that they were at the wrong precinct when in fact they were at the right precinct. I have spoken, thank you. I have spoken to our vendor. I don't want to.
I don't think that's the issue here. So they got the right mail ballot, they got the whatever. I don't understand what the voter given wrong ballot according to paperwork. And we can't, I guess we can look at this ballot to see if it's the wrong precinct or not, right? Without looking at everything else.
I don't see another way to resolve it.
I mean, I don't know why you would give them the wrong ballot and then vote them provisionally, and this is the right ballot.
Precinct
So
one.
I'm not sure what the comment was, but I believe we can count this ballot.
I would concur.
The poll book was showing an incorrect information. And
Yeah,
they were just,
something like that.
yeah.
All right, this is the correct ballot for what this voter should have voted at. Given that he's registered in 5, this is a Richland 5 ballot, so we should say yes. So
I
I'll make the motion that we accept this ballot.
second.
I concur. Why we check these things? Okay, so
All right, we're caught up.
Highland
we are
Park.
caught up.
Three ballots at Highland Park.
Highland Park. Okay. Highland Park. The seal appears to be intact. There are 3 provisional ballots inside. Voter number 96. There is a question mark as far as the precinct. It indicates that they are not registered and there is no provisional ballot in the envelope. I am no postal expert, but that would appear to be the case.
Well, they wouldn't have been able to register because they were in the wrong precinct, or not registered to vote. So the
Mhm.
fact that there's no ballot, unfortunately, is a moot point.
That is a,
But that is an issue if if they were in the right place.
Okay. Are you,
so I move we reject.
I'll second.
Concur.
Voter number 97 is registered in Van Buren 1, but SVRS shows that they had not previously voted in this election. And Highland was the polling site for Van Buren 1. So unless I'm missing something, I am going to
Yeah.
recommend that we accept this ballot.
Well, the voter was unsure whether he had already voted.
Okay, and there is no evidence that
No
they
evidence.
voted
that
by
he
mail
did.
or anything else, and I'm not
So-
exactly sure how you're uncertain of that, but.
Yeah.
Because we do this for a living, Ms. Carol.
Yes. Anyway, so there's no evidence that they did vote previously. There's no evidence of an absentee ballot issued. So this appears to be the only ballot that they had. So I will concur that we should accept this one.
Is that a unanimous?
Yes,
Okay,
I
so
concur.
a unanimous voter 97's ballot was accepted.
Okay, let's return that one to the,
Moving on to voter number, this is the yes. Moving on to voter number 98. This voter presented with a canceled registration in, Marion, our Miss Milas County,
so not registered to vote.
not registered to vote in Monroe County.
It was verified with Election Central at the time that the person was not registered to vote.
That is from our office.
Yes,
The documentation is from our office.
yes.
Thank you, Ms. Karen.
So we will make the motion that this ballot, because this voter is registered, not registered in Monroe County, that this ballot will not count.
I second that,
Concur?
and that's it for that group.
So decision on 97?
97 is a yes, 98 is a
Okay, so
no.
I thought it was a yes, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay. Did something fall?
Because we're wearing masks and muffled.
Well, I know, yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure I have everything.
All right, Grandview.
Grandview. It looks to me like we should find 4. The seal appears to be intact. And so voter number 99, presented at Van Buren 6, is registered in Van Buren 6 with documentation to say the same. Barring a different kind of glitch, I will recommend that we accept this voter's ballot.
I second that.
And I will concur.
So we accepted 99.
We accepted 99's vote.
Provisional voter 100.
Hang on, before you
Oh.
do that, let's just make sure that goes in the right pile.
That's the yes.
Thank you. Voter 100 is registered or presented at Van Buren 6, but is registered in Lawrence County. And this is the SVRS documentation of the same. Ooh.
So moved here over 30 days before attempting to vote,
But didn't register.
but didn't register. Yeah.
We certainly hope you get registered and welcome to Monroe County.
Hopefully they filled out the VG form while they were there, so. Yes, registered active in Lawrence.
Okay, so for those of you who updated your registrations around Election Day, the hopper opens up at December 1st, is that correct? December 1st, those applications will be processed.
And I will say that we had a gentleman who insisted that had changed his address because he filled out a form for the post office
Yeah.
and assumed that his registration would be changed. That doesn't happen. You got to do it yourself.
Not in the
Didn't know
States,
any
right.
better.
That may happen in other states,
Probably not there.
but not
either.
here. Yeah.
Anyway,
So voter number 101 appears to have presented at Van Buren 6, is registered in Van Buren 5 with a different address that was canceled in 2005. A 2010 registration for the same address in Monroe County. And Richland 6 was merged in error with the voter's son, who has a similar name, different middle name. Are we talking, there is substantial,
what does SVRS say?
well, let me show you. There is significant documentation.
Oh, yes,
Are
there
we
is.
talking about a certificate of error here?
It actually, I'd say that you would need to accept his provisional ballot, and then after the election, I need to separate the father and son. It's not recommended to do it now because you're just gonna mess with.
Then I will make a motion that we accept voter 101 provisional ballot.
Yeah, I would concur with that.
He did nothing wrong.
He did nothing
No.
wrong. The child has a similar name to the father, different middle initial.
Yeah, different middle initial.
And they did the same address.
But they got conflated
Right.
in the
If
system.
you just say your first and last name,
Not his fault.
not his fault.
So I move that we accept this ballot.
Okay, I
All
did,
right.
but that's,
Oh, you did?
I
I'm
thought I
sorry,
did.
didn't hear
Yes.
that.
She moved,
Okay,
you seconded, I will concur,
okay.
and that's going to our.
And this is the yes. Okay, so I've got my yes, and then voter 102 is not registered.
They just got a new Indiana ID 2 months before the election,
So,
but did not register it.
They may have assumed that they registered when they got the Indiana ID card from DMV, but apparently that wasn't processed, so unfortunately, they are not registered. So let's make a motion for voters 100 and 102 that because they are not registered in the Monroe County, that we must reject those ballots.
I'll second.
I concur.
We are down to the last
Send those.
envelope.
The last envelope.
And indeed, the last envelope. And we are actually going to be on time. How long do we have till 3 o'clock?
We have an hour,
So
57 minutes. I think we can get through this.
good job. Okay. How many? 3, 6, 8. The seal appears to be intact. There are 8 provisional ballots. Beginning with voter 103, presented at Perry 32, registered in Perry 32, no voting ID at the time, but they did provide a voter ID within plenty of time. And that, a photocopy of that is attached. I will go ahead and make a motion to accept voter 103.
I will second that.
And I will confirm.
Yay.
So for my yes pile,
That's a yes.
voter number 104 is not registered.
What a shame. Person is a resident of another state, requested an absentee ballot from that state and did not receive it,
So they
and so
can-
wanted to vote here.
Oh. And we certainly, as an election board, understand that people want to vote in the presidential election, but this is why we strongly advocate for you to check your registration early and make sure that you make the appropriate adjustments prior to.
Well,
That
unfortunately,
deadline.
it looks like they did that. They requested the ballot from their hometown, but
Yeah.
it was never
Never
received
received.
here. And unfortunately, they didn't re-register in Monroe County. So
This is why
this
Monroe
is,
County,
this is the fault of the state from which they came.
and we won't out that state, but welcome to Monroe County.
Yeah,
I'll take the, oh, did we make a motion?
Make a motion that we reject this ballot.
I'll second.
I concur.
This is my note. Voter number 105, presented during early voting for Perry 17, is registered for Perry 17, but had no voter ID. And I do not see any indication that they presented an ID in plenty of time.
Right, well, I'll make the motion that given that we do not have valid proof of ID as required by Indiana law, that this ballot be rejected.
Second,
I concur.
my no pile. Voter number 106, presented for Bloomington 20. They are registered in Bloomington 20. SBRS shows no additional identity residence documentation required. I believe this is similar to something that we've already voted on, and should that be the case, I will go ahead and make the motion that we accept this ballot.
This voter is identified on the poll list as required to present an additional document that confirms the voter's identity and current residence address, but has not done so.
And according to this, that's not correct. So.
Yeah.
I will second your motion.
I will concur. So that is a yes. 106 is a yes.
Voter number 107, presented for Perry 30. They are registered in Perry 30, but presented no voter ID, and I do not have any documentation to show that ID was brought in.
Okay, this is, that's a yes.
A yes. We like our yes piles.
And so we have no green sheet for this
We
one?
have nothing to indicate.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. It's been a long day.
It has.
I will make the motion that given this vote did not present valid proof of identification as required by law when he voted and has not resolved that situation by the due date, that we get this ballot.
I will second that motion.
I concur.
That's a no.
That's a no for 107.
And then a no.
Oh. Wake me up. Keep me honest
All
here.
righty. And then voter 108 appears to be registered in Jefferson County. The documentation of the same.
I move we reject.
I will second.
I concur.
That's a no.
This is a no. So the voter number 109. Oh,
10 have the same issue.
10 have the same. No. Oh, okay. Voter number 109 presented at Bloomington 11. They're registered at Clear Creek 1. They lived at the Clear Creek 1 address 30 days before the election. So they're saying they're eligible to vote at Clear Creek 1.
They moved just before the election. They moved within the same congressional districts. So they should be entitled to vote at this address one more time, correct? If I'm remembering my cheat sheet, Sherry.
That is my memory, assuming they were registered.
So if their registration shows Clear Creek 1, the fact that they moved gives them, within the same congressional district, gives them the entitlement to vote one more time at their previous address.
Okay, is
But
that
not
the
in
Clear
future.
Creek 1 or is it?
Well, what does the
But they were given a,
SBRS say?
Yeah.
What happened was that when they checked in, they were asked if this was their current address, and they said
CC1.
no.
CC1 is what it shows.
But if they're active in Clear Creek 1, they should be entitled to vote one more time at that address because they moved within the same congressional district.
Actually, yeah. They're, they're not, they're not in 8, are they? Bloomfield is within,
They are active in Clear Creek 1.
correct.
So,
Active in Clear Creek 1, so that is what they should have received, not the 11.
Yes, and so that's the other problem now is that they were given the wrong,
yeah,
That's our issue.
correct.
Yeah. So I have no issues with making a motion to
File a certificate of error,
file a certificate of error and accept that ballot.
and the second one is the same issue, so.
Ah.
They moved together,
yes,
they had the same addition.
they have the same name.
They did not, say it again, Karen?
But they did not have a ballot at early voting. It said voter given ballot B11 at early voting. I don't have any trail of them getting a ballot.
Of the B11.
Yeah, I don't know what's in the provisional envelope.
Okay.
This is all early voting, so I don't know what's in the provisional envelope. So they should be voting a C11 ballot or a CC1 ballot. Okay, so we have to,
And they voted a B11 ballot.
do we know that?
Yes, that's the B11 ballot
In the envelope?
in the envelope, yes. And I haven't seen the other one, but I'm presuming.
So this
probably
one
it was
is-
the same.
A B11.
Part of this is the 110.
So again, I'm gonna,
109 and 110 had the same issues for the same thing. They, they moved together, et cetera. They're both active in Clear Creek 1, but for whatever reason, they were given a B11 ballot and they were both given B11 ballots.
so I'm going to say that this is one of those glitches, right place, wrong. At least,
Well, this was an error of being given the wrong ballot by us.
so that is no fault of the voter. And I am going to make a motion that we accept both of these ballots.
I second.
I'm okay with that. This was a clerk's error, not a voter error.
So,
So those are
They
the
came to the
yes.
right place, the right precinct.
So it looks like we may have finished the
those are
provisional,
yeses.
yes,
Yes.
the provisional ballot. And before, Mr. President, you adjourn the meeting, if I could take a moment of your time to, I'm very proud. We did our post-election audit. I used your taxpayer dollars to keep our vendor in Monroe County for another day. And I believe you participated along with my team here. And we had a representative from the League of Women Voters who were also very kind to us during this unusual time and helping us to get the word out about each of our elections. I'm very pleased to report a 100% accuracy rate. So our new equipment, an amazing vendor, an amazing team, our poll workers and everybody. We could not have this without all of you. Thank you.
I concur with that. It was a terrific team effort. And if we had to do this election again next month,
Ah, no, no,
I wouldn't want the team any different.
amen to that. I will,
Yeah.
I can second that.
Yeah.
So that's all I had to say.
We did have a few comments from the field. Did you have anything you wanted to say about the election process?
No, I mean, I think overall, the number of complaints, given the number of people who voted, was.
Yeah.
The voters were amazingly patient.
Incredibly.
They were
so.
great about,
Distancing, I mean, they were really doing
Yeah.
their part.
I had one comment about election central voting. And that was that people requested perhaps some cardboard separators next time for increased privacy.
well, one would hope that the next time we vote in 2022, that we'll be back in Franklin booths and that will not be an issue.
Yes. Yes.
Not know that. And,
Yes.
had we not had that particular issue, we would have had twice as many booths and half the lines.
Our difficulty was the ability to disinfect cardboard dividers.
Exactly.
You can't do that.
And again,
and
I
that was the issue. And hopefully that's not going to be an issue in the future. I guess my only comment is the one I make at the end of provisional voting every time, and that is that it is very upsetting that we end up many voters end up disenfranchising themselves by not double checking where they're supposed to vote and making a plan early enough to deal with that.
Yeah, especially
We had
after.
that every time. We actually had, I think, about 63 less provisional ballots than in 2018. So, or was it 16? I forget which. We had 185 one year.
Yeah.
And we threw out, I think, like 176 of them for the same reason. It was people who were not registered here, who did not make a plan to vote where they should have voted. And unfortunately, there isn't anything that we can do about that or to help that. I know that IU did their best to get that message out to the students this year. And again, given the total number of voters, it's not a lot of voters, but every vote we would like to count.
Agreed.
The clerk of courts did a tremendous job. Thank you, Nicole, to you and your team.
They just make me look good.
Hopefully we won't have to deal with a pandemic again.
Agreed.
Yeah,
But even still, in the middle of a pandemic, the second highest turnout since
Yes.
November of 2008.
People wanted to vote.
yep, people wanted to vote. And we did have a few other comments. People were disturbed by the crowds, obviously, and we did our best to allow people a safe distance. We provided all the tools they needed, disinfectants and so on.
And if it was just Monroe County, I could certainly see where there would be a complaint, but you turn on your television, you look at your
Yeah.
news feed, there were lines from the West Coast to the East Coast, to the Midwest, to the South. There were lines.
And every one of our votes was counted on election day.
Every one of our votes was counted on election day. Literally, that phrase, will the last person who leaves turn off the lights? I was the last person.
Right. We did have a complaint from someone that voters were asked for different levels of identification at their registration point.
What does that mean?
It means that 3 people came in and 2 were asked for one level of identification and 1 person was asked for a lower level of
And I don't think that
identification.
happens.
And
I think that was a perception, but
yeah,
they're asked exactly the same questions.
Yep.
This person stated that he wasn't asked if his address was correct, but you can't get through that system without checking that button. So
Exactly.
I'm sure he was asked, he just doesn't remember it happening.
exactly.
We
That-
actually changed part of it during early voting because some people would say, is this your address? Or they would say, what is your address?
Right. Okay.
So we
So
changed-
what is your address requires a direct response. Is this your address just requires a yes.
Right,
Yeah.
so we changed it at early voting and everyone was asked, what is your address? Or verify your address.
Mhm.
Wording.
Yeah.
that They have to say your address.
Yeah. Without more information, it's difficult to go further into that issue. But I think the training was outstanding. I think the preparation, the setup was outstanding. The tear down was outstanding. I haven't heard one complaint from any of the polling sites that we did not comply with their wishes in setup and tear down.
Yeah, I mean, I think our polling workers were happier than I've ever seen them.
Yeah. And I believe everyone who wanted a vote, who could not make it to a polling place, got that vote.
Yeah, I actually would like to extend a big thank you to both Sherry Morris and to Andrew Gunther for working our travel boards.
Amen. Amen.
Thank
Travel
you.
board was not easy this year.
And
We got 50 ballots in
people were,
before the deadline.
people were extremely happy that they were able to vote despite being quarantined, that they were able to keep everybody else safe. And so,
And 4 people actually in the hospital were able to vote,
so
which I thought was terrific.
again, a big thank you to the two of them for
Yeah.
helping out with travel board this year,
We
because
did it too.
it
Amen.
was a travel board that was not, as easy as it is in many years.
Okay,
Can we confirm the ones that you have counted? I believe you have counted 16 ballots today.
Okay, looks like number 6.
Yeah.
yes,
61,
Yes.
68.
Yep.
70,
61,
82, 90, 91, 97, 99, 101, and then 109, sorry, 103.
What was
Yes.
94 and nine? I believe 94 is also on the list.
Sorry, 94, yes, 94, 97, 99, 101, 103, 106, 9, and 10.
Is there any other business before the board?
I have no business.
We can't wait till December.
I will
Okay.
say, just so you know, a survey has gone out to all election day poll workers to get
Terrific.
written feedback from them if they would hopefully fill out their experiences, both positive and negative, and I'll be sharing that whenever we get some information back at the end of the year.
That's great. That's great. We'll look forward to seeing the results of that poll.
So actually do have,
Your paperwork to sign?
this is, just you to certify the incomplete registrations. I have 10 of them, and I think it's just that you guys agree that I put them in minutes.
Yes, we agree.
Yes,
I think that's all I have.
okay. There being no other business before the board, I will accept a motion.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
My goodness, we're adjourned. A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I actually, these gloves dissolve it under enough hand sanitizer.
Yes, the plastic will
Yeah,
get
Okay.
it melts.
brittle.
So we are concluded. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.